Hey folks, Paul Carlson here from Safety Solutions Academy. Today we are out at the range and we are rocking and rolling with the Hellcat RDP. We just dialed in our Wasp. That's right, we got a brand new Wasp mounted up on top of the pistol. We used some Springfield Armory 15 rounders to get this bad boy sighted in. It's now exactly where we need it to be, and I am ready to put the Wasp through its paces. Here's the plan. Our good friends from Federal Ammunition supplied us with a whole bunch of ammo. Now this is pre-COVID ammo. This stuff has been sitting, waiting for a great project like this. We've got 2,500 rounds of 147 grain 9mm. That is going to thump with every round on top of this Wasp, and we're gonna see if it makes it through all 2,500 rounds. I have no doubt that it will. Let me tell you a little bit about what we did with this optic and why I'm so confident in this optic. The first thing we did is we put a bunch of rounds through this gun with the optic on top. We had no issues whatsoever. I'll include the entire 2,500 round test at the end of this segment so you can watch the whole thing if you'd like. Now, one of the cool things about the Wasp optic is that it is waterproof. This thing has an IPX7 rating, and we submerged this optic, the whole pistol loaded, for 30 minutes. We took it out and we shot it. And of course, there was no issue whatsoever. It held all of the water out of the optic, looked great. I simply pulled this gun out of the water, started shooting, and it performed flawlessly. No issue there. The other thing I was really wondering about was how resistant this optic is to impact. You know, it's got an aluminum housing. This is a 6061 machined housing. It's burly, it's thick. You can take a look at it and you can see the thickness of the housing. And it's got this hood on the front that's designed to help protect the coatings that are on the glass lens. My question was the aluminum housing gonna do its job? Was the hood gonna do its job? Was the glass gonna be damaged? So I took this pistol and I racked it 10 times on the side of the shoot house wall, loaded it up, racked it again, and fired the gun. The dot was there, no problem. We repeated that 10 times. So basically 110 impact where we're racking the slide full force. It's that kind of performance that I expect to see from an optic that's set up to be a carry optic. And the features of this optic and its durability, well, they don't disappoint. End of story, you've got a robustly built optic that's ready to perform for concealed carry. Once the battery goes in, it's a constant on, and this battery is gonna last for more than a year. The dot automatically adjusts to the ambient lighting conditions, and throughout the entire test, I never had a problem picking up the dot. The footprint of the Wasp is the Springfield micro footprint, and what's great about that is it means it mounts directly on top of the Hellcat slide. That direct mount means that I don't have an additional fail point added, a mount that goes in between to adapt the optic to the slide, but it also means the optic sits super low, which means I can use the U-notch factory sights as backup sights should this Wasp go down. And well, I think we've proven today that that's not likely. You know, when it comes to concealed carry, folks, it's super important to make sure that the gear you select is going to work. We've torture tested the snot out of the Hellcat platform, and I'm not surprised that this gun easily dealt with the 2,500 rounds. Heck, we've had a gun go more than 20,000 rounds without a failure. The good news is that the HEX Wasp jumps into that same kind of category. We typically see optics failure happen in the first 1,000 rounds when it comes to optics, and that didn't happen with this, and in fact, it went more than double that, 2,500 rounds with no issues whatsoever. Maybe you've got a Hellcat, maybe you've got an XDS, or maybe you've got some other single stack pistol. Take a look at the Wasp with an MSRP of $299, and it's got all the features you need to be able to trust this optic as a carry optic. Well, you know what the deal is, folks. Whether you've got an optic or not, grab some ammo, head out to the range, and I'll meet you there, and we'll live the armory life. Today, we're gonna fire the first 750 rounds of our 2,500 round trial through this RDP to see if the Wasp is set up to take the recoil of 147 grain 9mm. My guess is it's not gonna be a problem. We're gonna start out using a bunch of 15 rounders that Springfield sent out to us. If you've got a Hellcat and you haven't grabbed some of these 15 rounders, you're gonna wanna jump on it. Man, they make the pistol just a tiny bit bigger, and they hold almost 15% more ammunition than your 13 rounders, even more than that when it comes to 11s. What do you say we get after it? We've already fired 45 rounds through the pistol, sighting it in, making sure everything's functioning properly. We're not testing the gun, we're testing the Wasp. Let's see how it does. That's right, we had 2,500 rounds of pre-COVID, pre-ammo shortage, federal 147 grain full metal jacket flat point rounds. They ran through the Hellcat RDP just as we'd expected. I mean, let's not kid ourselves, 147 rounds, they've got some thump to them. But the Hellcat RDP did just fine, as did the HEX Wasp. We're gonna I've got a couple more boxes left. We're gonna grab one of those boxes, we're gonna hang a fresh target, and we're gonna shoot this for a group at 15 yards to kind of wrap up the shooting aspect of this test. And then we're gonna drown it and we're gonna beat it and see how she does. Well, folks, we've got 2,500 rounds through the Hellcat RDP with the Wasp on top. We sighted that optic in at the beginning. I think it's only fair that after 2,500 rounds, we check to make sure that the optic has held zero. I just ran a target out to 15 yards. We're gonna go ahead and see if we can put a group on it. Now, I just shot 500 rounds, 147 grain federal through a Hellcat. You're just gonna have to cut me some slack. What we're gonna be looking for is to see if that group is centered around that 6 down there on the target. That's our hope. That'll tell us if the optic is zeroed or not. All right, let's do it. We're gonna shoot at 15 yards for a group. You know, I just got done shooting 500 rounds. And with a hit like that on the first shot of what I planned to be a 13-round group, it's that kind of shot you just want to say, hey, there it is, and just walk away from it. I'm not going to do that. You're going to have to cut me some slack on this group, though. Well, for just having shot 500 rounds through this little pistol, we're talking 500 rounds of federal 147 grain full metal jacket flat points, I am not gonna complain about that group at all. Of course, I'd love for that to be a little bit tighter than it is. I'd always love for that. But to put 13 rounds through the Hellcat RDP with a 3.5 MOA Wasp on top, man, that is a decent showing after a full day of shooting. What it really comes down to, folks, is there's no doubt in my mind that the HEX Wasp is an outstanding optic for you if you were looking for something to mount offset on top of your rifle, something lightweight, something easy to pick up, or if you're looking for a micro red dot to fit on top of your micro 9mm pistol. Whether that's a Hellcat OSP, an XDS OSP, or some other make and model of firearm. Tell you what, I'm really happy with the HEX Wasp. MSRP of $299, 2,500 rounds of proof that you get a heck of a lot more than you pay for when you purchase a HEX Wasp. I will catch you folks out of the range living the armory life.